New Zealand Dairy Farmer is proudly brought to you by Hanson Products, providing Kiwi farmers with water system solutions for over 50 years. This week, New Zealand Dairy Farmer is on the road in Northland. We're here to talk to recent Nuffield Scholarship winner Tafi Manjala about the benefits of mentoring, community advice and discussion groups. Later in the program, we visit Benson Horsford, a young herd manager who's making the step up to farm ownership. But we start off at the Jordan Valley Research Farm with Tafi Manjala.
So Tafi, how did you come to be here at the Jordan Valley Research Centre?
I actually came to New Zealand in 2002, and some of my background there was I was involved in extension in my past immediate role before I came here, and I milked cows down in the South Island for Dairy Holdings for 2 seasons, and then I had the opportunity of joining Dexel at the time, which is now Dairy NZ, and I've been based up here in Northland. This is my 9th season being here, and we've been based here at Jordan Valley, which is a Fonterra farm, for a good 5 years.
What made you come to New Zealand in the first place?
Opportunity. Interesting, because the person who actually encouraged me to consider New Zealand as a destination for my agricultural career was my boss at working at ICRISAT. He said, you know, the opportunities for agricultural people are abundant in New Zealand, and I so happened to have a friend who had come out here 6 months before I did, and he's a rural manager now with the ASB, Joseph Nyemba.
Was it always your plan to get back into extension work, or did you consider continuing on perhaps through the share milking path into farm ownership? My aspirations when I arrived here was that I was going to be to get to a level where I actually managed a farm by my own. And then I had the misfortune that I aggravated an injury that I had from sport, and my doctor said, you've got a choice, either your career or your health, and I chose my health at the time. You know, down the track I always wanted to come back into extension because I've got a passion for helping people. And how often are you having farmers actually visiting the Jordan Valley Research Centre as opposed to you going out on farm with some of these seminars and field days?
Yeah, so roughly it's about 10% of the time we have held events here at Jordan Valley, and 90% of the time we actually go and see farmers in their local geographic area and run events where we talk about quite a number of things, ranging from what's happening on their particular farm and also what's coming up. So it's a really good opportunity for farmers to share experiences. In a typical group where you've got 20 farmers attending, having 20 years experience, all of a sudden you've got 400 years experience that's there within one particular group.
Is it a time constraint now for dairy farmers as their properties get larger, they're milking more cows? Do they find it more difficult to get away and attend discussion groups?
Definitely, it's something. Farm systems have evolved. I'd say if you look back, 30 years ago, most farm systems were quite similar. There was not a lot of supplementation being fed. So as a result, I think people had more time and people were more community oriented than what is the case now. And this is something I've picked up from farmers, in discussion.
What about with the advent of the internet? Farmers can sit behind their computers at home and access all the information they could ever need.
That's another very big change, as you correctly point out. Really good opportunity where information is just a click of the button away. So some people may not be attending groups, but they're accessing Dairy NZ resources and material by going on the internet. We also have an 0800 number where they can actually ring and get to speak to a scientist or get some particular resources that are actually sent to them.
How big are the discussion groups? What sort of size do they range from at the lowest level up to the highest number of farmers involved?
Yes. So discussion group numbers, we typically on average would have around about 15 farmers coming to a discussion group, and that's the average. They would range from about 9, and our bigger groups, tend to have an attendance of 40. So in that case, it's more a field day rather than a discussion group, and it's got its challenge around facilitation, but a really great forum to share ideas.
And you also have other groups coming to visit Jordan Valley, school groups and perhaps rural professionals. Tell me a bit about that.
Yes, so we've tended to run quite a number of rural professional forums, and this is part of our Dairy NZ strategy around how do we actually use the adoption network and work with them to get change on farm, because we know that we've only got 35 consulting officers out there in the field nationally and only 4 in Northland. Therefore, if we engage with rural professionals, they could take some of these consistent messages on farm and we'll be able to get more change and awareness of some of the key things out there in the dairy community. We've had good successes when we've had some adverse events where we've come together as rural professionals, agreed on the common messages we needed to be taking up, and taken those messages, and the feedback from farmers is they really got value out of that interaction.
And what about farmers of the future? School children, college students who are perhaps considering a future in agriculture. They're also visiting here, aren't they?
That's correct. Today we've just had a group of students visit, and half of the group are seriously considering a career in farming, and half of the other group were probably not sure, but at the end of the day they were asking questions around where are the opportunities, whether it's being on farm or other people that support farmers like myself.
And what opportunities do you see there, having come to New Zealand to get involved in dairy farming for exactly that reason? Are there still those opportunities available?
I think there's plenty of opportunities still available in New Zealand. I think one of the biggest things that's important for anybody to see opportunities is having an opportunistic mindset. And that helps when you've got that mindset, because people are willing to help you if they know what you want.
So it's a case of making good luck or good fortune happen to you by exploring some of those options.
That's right, and putting yourself out there and making sure that you share some of your goals with as many people as you can. And you never know who's going to call you and say, I've got that opportunity that you've been talking about.
After the break, we visit the farm of Jared Going, who employs Benson Horsford as his herd manager. Benson is active within the local dairy farming community and is about to make the step into his own farm. We'll see you after the break.